I gave months of notice for my vacation, but when the time came, the company panicked and ended up threatening me. I work in the administrative department of a very important, yet highly niche, multinational industry. I consider myself a key, reliable, and highly experienced part of the team, mainly because I always end up doing everyone else's work. We are critically short-staffed, but management refuses to hire anyone else under the excuse that everything is working out fine for right now. The whole situation is completely absurd. Back in February, I formally gave notice that I would be going on vacation in July with my partner and his 2 kids. It's an international trip we plan months in advance due to the kids' complex schedules, sports, and split custody with their biological mom. Everything was paid for, booked, and completely non-refundable. The trouble started when my direct boss told me she was also taking time off during those exact dates. When she realized our schedules overlapped, she panicked and immediately ordered me to cancel my trip. I told her that was impossible. Furious, she threatened to deny my PTO and warned me that if I set one foot out of the office, she would treat it as job abandonment and fire me. Trying to be reasonable, I went to my boss's manager to build a contingency plan. I designed a detailed coverage schedule, suggested that he take a few hours each day to handle my in-person duties, and offered to log in remotely, paid, for 2 hours a day to provide support. His response was, "Great, I'll present this to the higher-ups." Days later, he came back with an insulting response. The board of directors considered him too important and too highly paid to sit at an administrative front desk. Instead, the board proposed rescheduling my trip and offered me a miserable few $100 to cover airline change fees. I ran the numbers. Changing everything for 4 people would cost thousands of dollars. I gave them a firm no. The kids are finally old enough to travel. They are incredibly excited, and I wasn't going to cancel their vacation just because the company is incapable of managing its personnel. Why was my absence for just 7 working days causing such massive panic? Update. Weeks went by, and management started begging, manipulating, and harassing me to reconsider. The actual overlap with my boss's vacation was only 5 working days. 5 days. They kept repeating that I had to consider the needs of the business, demanded to see my personal calendar to find a way to shorten the trip, and pressured me by saying, "Look at your metrics, you know how busy we get." To make matters worse, 2 more people resigned from the department during those months, and they confirmed no one else would be hired. The reason? Since I had absorbed almost the entire workload, they assumed we didn't need more people. Basically, I was being punished for being efficient. They made me feel like every operational issue in the company was my fault. They called me inflexible and selfish. I submitted another proposal to have employees from other departments cover for me for just 1 afternoon each, but they rejected it, claiming that the other departments were also stretched too thin. I started getting incredibly stressed out. I looked at the job market, and it looked bleak with recession red flags everywhere. I knew that if they fired me, I wouldn't find another job at my current pay scale anytime soon. I was right on the edge of giving in to the harassment, cutting my family trip short, and letting them walk all over me just out of fear of losing my financial stability. I was on the verge of a mental breakdown. Final update. After reading a lot of comments on my previous post that opened my eyes, I decided I could no longer tolerate this mistreatment. If they were going to fire me for taking my legitimate vacation, then I had to make the first move. Since my industry is pretty tight-knit and the major competitors all know each other, I decided to take a gamble. I reached out to one of my current company's external vendors. To my absolute surprise, the moment I mentioned I was looking for options, they offered me a position on the spot. It's a 100% remote job, keeping my exact same salary scale. They told me they knew about my excellent reputation and were thrilled to have me on the team. They had never approached me before because, as a vendor, they didn't want any ethical issues with my company. But since I was the one who reached out, the opportunity was perfect. I am over the moon. I went into the office and handed in my 1-month resignation notice. I spent the next 2 weeks training my replacement, which was hilarious to watch, considering the chaos I was leaving behind. Took a short break and started my new remote job. And best of all, I got to go on my family vacation without a single person bothering me. At the end of the day, I actually have to thank my old job for treating me so poorly. If it hadn't been for their greed, incompetence, and threats, I never would have dared to look for something better. The truth is, I won by a landslide. What do you guys think? Do you think companies take advantage of efficient employees until they break? Or is it just a complete lack of vision from upper management when it comes to taking care of their key staff?